A founder spends a lifetime sacrificing to build a massive family fortune. Yet by the time their own grandchildren reach adulthood, that exact same financial empire completely crumbles into dust. This chart maps average family wealth over time. The data reveals a sheer drop-off. 70% of wealthy families lose their accumulated assets by the time the second generation takes control. The terminal point arrives shortly after. By the third generation, 90% of the original fortune is incompletely gone. Financial advisors know this mathematical reality as the third generation curse. These numbers prove a difficult truth. Accumulating wealth requires intense effort, but preserving that wealth across decades is statistically much harder. Most people assume this total loss comes down to external economic factors. They blame severe market crashes or bad investments or unforeseen economic shifts. But those assumptions are entirely wrong. The root cause of this failure is educational and spiritual, detached from the mechanics of the broader economy. The failure happens mechanically. The second generation receives the capital from the founder, but they never receive the method for managing it. By the time the third generation arrives, both the capital and the method are completely absent. Without a deliberate system to transfer wisdom, transferring large sums of money is simply a delayed, highly funded form of poverty. To understand how to break this cycle, we have to look at the ancient biblical benchmark for wealth preservation, found in Proverbs 13:22. The text defines a good person not by the volume of what they consume in their lifetime, but by the inheritance they successfully leave behind. The scripture specifically notes that this good person leaves an inheritance to their children's children. This requires a massive psychological adjustment. You have to move away from a lifespan mindset and adopt a dynasty mindset. Making concrete financial decisions for grandchildren who have not even been born yet. Adopting a strict three-generation time horizon forces discipline. It acts as an automatic filter, stripping away foolish short-term financial risks and the temptation of immediate gratification. History provides a catastrophic example of what happens when a leader ignores this principle. King Hezekiah was a generally effective ruler, yet he completely failed this specific multi-generational test. Isaiah 39 records Hezekiah's fatal error. Driven by pride, he opened his vaults and exposed his temple treasures and kingdom wealth to visiting Babylonian envoys. The prophet Isaiah delivered a severe warning in response. He told the king that because of this reckless exposure, all the accumulated wealth would eventually be stolen, and Hezekiah's own descendants would be carried off to serve as enslaved eunuchs in Babylon. Hezekiah's response is shocking. He replies that the prophet's word is good because there will be peace and security in his own lifetime. He was entirely content with the impending slavery of his grandchildren as long as he remained comfortable. This spirit of immediate gratification is a literal curse. It is the exact behavioral mechanism that leaves a family line utterly defenseless and guarantees their eventual impoverishment. We can contrast Hezekiah's failure with a survival model that preserved Jewish wealth across 20 generations of exile, displacement, and economic collapse. The Passover Seder. The Seder functions as an annual, highly structured financial and spiritual education. The teaching mechanism is built directly into the meal. The youngest child asks a specific prescribed question, which forces the older generation to recount the history of their slavery, their hardship, and the true heavy cost of liberation. Embedded deep within that history is a vital economic teaching. The children learn that dependency creates slavery, and that financial provision requires strict adherence to covenant boundaries. This continuous ritual transmission actively breaks the third-generation curse. It ensures that the method of stewardship is passed down directly alongside the money itself. Handing down millions of dollars to heirs without transferring the wisdom of stewardship is a guaranteed recipe for their destruction. You must stop viewing personal wealth as an instrument for your own comfort. Instead, you must manage it as a permanent multi-generational trust. This means actively teaching the next generation specific immutable rules. Every dollar is a seed to be planted. Debt is a modern form of slavery, and humans are simply managers of God's capital, never the ultimate owners. Because the cycle of generational poverty always begins in the mind, only intentional, consistent education can break it. I invite you to permanently reject the selfish spirit of King Hezekiah in your financial planning. Make a conscious decree to break the third-generation curse over your family line. Refuse to leave behind a legacy of debt or financial ignorance. Seek out the heart of a steward. Protect your descendants from the lure of immediate gratification, so they are prepared to walk in abundance without falling into arrogance. To be a truly wise builder, you must ensure the software of wisdom is firmly installed long before the hardware of wealth is inherited.